Once upon a time, on a dusty road, I met a girl. 17 years later, I'm still here.
Joining us now is Tehran bureau chief for the New York Times.
Thomas Erdbrink, welcome to the program, and thank you for joining me.
Ta-da!
Tonight, part 2 of Our Man in Tehran.
ذهنیتی وارد کشور میشید فیلم میخواد بسازید.
More stories from a country at the brink of change.
In this country especially, if you live with fear, you're done.
As the hardliners push back, some Iranians dream of America, while others can't forget Iran.
من فکر میکنم سرزمین مثل مادره تو هیچ موقع نمیتونی.
It's a map of Iran.
Get back in the car.
And yet, life and love go on.
We're gonna make baby!
Why you should...
3 years later, Our Man in Tehran.
There's one big change compared to the last time that we were filming here in Iran, and that is that this time we have brought a drone, a flying camera. But in Iran, in the capital Tehran, drones are shot out of the sky. The last time that somebody flew a drone in Tehran, there was a huge panic. Suddenly, from rooftops across the city, anti-aircraft fire was opened to take the drone down. People crouched down in the streets, ducking covered behind cars. It turned out that the drone was operating in the vicinity of the compound of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. And that poses a security risk, of course. Our camera team and their drone had just arrived in Iran when I got a call from the media agency of the Ministry of Information. I had to hand over the drone immediately. The director, Mr. Tahiri, is an important man.
سلام.
He has to give us permission for whatever we want to film in Iran.
من این اینجا برای شما هم امانت میذارم. شما هر وقت خواستید میتونید بیاید.
His job is not an easy one. He must help me and at the same time take care not to displease his political and religious superiors. I'm curious to hear his opinion about our last film, knowing that the Iranians always start with the polite answer. شما چند بار سریال ما دیدید؟
من این سریال شما رو به صورت کامل 4 بار دیدم، ولی مناسبت‌های مختلف بعضی از بخشاشو خیلی زیاد دیدم. یعنی مثلا
خودتون دوست داشتی این فیلم رو؟
به نظر من یکی از بهترین فیلمایی بود که تو این چند ساله راجع به ایران ساخته شده.
و یه چیزی خوبی داشت، یه چیزی بدی هم داشت؟
بله، بستگی به نگاهی که شما غربی‌ها یا کلاً غیر ایرانی‌ها نسبت به ایران دارن. شما با یک ذهنیتی وارد کشور میشید فیلم میخواید بسازید که اون ممکنه با واقعیت‌های موجود ایران فرق داشته باشه.
کدوم تیکه خیلی دوست داشتی؟
به نظر من جذاب‌ترین بخشش اون بخشی بود که با خانومتون با هم بحث می‌کردید در مورد ازدواج و خدمت شما.
چرا؟
من با تو عروسی کنم.
چرا دوست داشتی؟
نه ما اینجوری نبود که با هم بگیم آی با هم عروسی کنیم. مگه یادت نیست؟
نه خب ولی بالاخره عروسی کردیم دیگه.
خب عروسی کردیم بعد I ask you to marry me. Yes.
That's true.
Yeah, I ask him to marry me.
That's right.
یعنی چی؟ من به توماس گفتم با هم عروسی کنیم.
خاک دوست.
برای چی؟ واقعا میشه؟ جدی؟
هنوز خوشحالی یا نه؟
حالا بعدم.
صحنه جالب برای منم جالب بود که خدمت شما شاید نشون آزادی عمل خانم‌های ایرانی رو نشون میده. ببینید طبق روایات اسلامی زن از مرد خواستگاری میکنه. خب زن میگه که من تو رو دوست دارم و وقتی خانم توکلیان این نکته رو به شما گفت من تعجب کردم. ولی در مجموع جاهای دیگه فیلمم خیلی خوب بود به جز 2 تیکش که خیلی به شما توضیح دادم گفتم. بحث درگیری‌هایی که جلوی سفارت پیش اومد با اون آقای بسیجی به ظاهر بسیجی چیز کرده که نمیدونم
آمریکا هیهات من نزله بسم الله الرحمن
دهانگشاد.
بله آقای دهانگشاد. حالا نمیدونم چرا اسمشم بیگ ماوس گذاشتید چون اسمای دیگه
خودش اینه همه این اسمش بدید.
آره چون دیگه چیزام شد دیگه تو کشورم چیز شد.
The images of Mr. Big Mouth caused a stir in Iran. Modern Iranians felt he was a caricature, a disgrace for the country. And even his fellow religious militants were unhappy with the way he put them in the spotlight. And there was another downside, according to Mr. Tahiri.
یا نکته مهمتر تو همون منشی خود شما همکار خانم سمیه ببینید در حقیقت یک پروسه‌ای از آدم خیلی افراطی مذهبی که تو جلسات قرآن شرکت میکنه خانواده‌اش خیلی سخت میگیرن یه دفعه نشون میدید که رسیده به جایی که
میدونید دولت‌ها چادر میپوشتن چون اگه چادر نپوشی خیلی نگاه روته همینجوری نگاه میکنن قشنگ با نگاه دنبالت میکنن ولی تهران اینجوری نیست که چادر نداشته باشی توی چشم باشی.
Was je انتخاب کردی گفتی وقتی که من برم به تهران دیگه باید چادر.
آره.
و بعدم نهایت سر از آمریکا در میاره. خب منظورتون چی بود؟ چی می‌خواستید نشون بدید تو این فیلم؟ این جنبه مدرنیته رو می‌خواستید نشون بدید؟
نه ولی زندگیش اینجوری بود.
خیلی از کسایی که این فیلم رو دیدن از آقایان رسمی روی این نکته خیلی چیز داشتن. میگفتن آقا همه مثلا خانم‌های بی حجاب ما اگه شرایط براشون با حجاب ما چادریای ما خانواده‌های مذهبی ما اگر شرایط فراهم بشه اینجوری میشن. واقعا اینطوره به نظر شما؟ میگم ما را کشور عقب مونده چیز نکنید نشون ندید.
دست نکنه. Is Mr. Tahiri right? Did the first film show too little of the modern and carefree side of Tehran? Perhaps I should take my cue from state-owned Press TV's sunnier programs.
Typical Iranian house, typical Iranian car. This is how it is. Not! I'm about to show you why. Luxury. Luxury. This is what we drive, a beautiful Porsche. Iran's second largest active industry, the automobile industry, and everybody loves a luxury automobile. You're gonna buy this car?
Yes, in cash.
In cash?
Yes.
I love it.
Okay.
Cash, he's gonna buy it. I love Iran.
Luxury. Luxury in Tehran. I decide to tag along with 2 gentlemen who are better at home in this world. So, this is Reza Nayabi.
Hello.
This is Mr. Tasty.
Mr. Taster.
Yeah. And this is another person. Yes, but this is not the modern side of Tehran,
this is not the modern side of Tehran. No. از ما رو ببخش 2 دقیقه خواهش میکنم ازم.
First, they want to get rid of him. He has no place in their modern Tehran.
I want to show you a neighborhood. I want to show you a clothing designer. And he is Mr. Taster, and he wants to show you a couple of restaurants.
Yeah.
We start out for a fancy district with very expensive homes. So, why this neighborhood?
This is probably the best neighborhood I know of. It's Bukhan, located in Niavaran. But this is probably for the uber wealthy. If you look to your right, this building right here, this one comes in at about $11,000 a meter, a square meter.
What kind of people would live here?
Rich.
But just try and describe them a bit more.
Materialistic, people that love things. And there's nothing wrong with being materialistic.
And then we go out with Mr. Taster, a celebrity in Tehran.
مثل تیستر یه فود کریتیکه بیخبر میره رستورانا و راجبشون نظر میده و میگه کجا خوبه کجا بده واسه مردم.
شما تو اینستاگرام یه پیج داری؟
من یه پیج دارم با فیسبوک شروع کردم به نام mr.taster و 130,000 تا فالوور داره، ولی اینستاگرام که معروف‌تر شد تو ایران موو کردیم به اینستاگرام و الان تو اینستاگرام 227,000 نفر پیجمون رو فالو میکنن و 4 میلیون نفر در هفته پیج در واقع پستامون رو میبینن.
At first glance, all these luxury visits make Iran look more like a normal Western nation. This is mostly because of the sudden popularity of Instagram and all the silly events that are associated with it. So all these people here are officially here to be informed about having weddings in Thailand. Iranians love to marry in other countries because then they can have mixed wedding parties. But another reason for people to be here is because they are all Instagram stars. This guy over there, 200,000 followers. These 3 girls, maybe 1 million. This is a place to be seen and to see. And we've definitely seen her before. A few years ago, she and her friends were arrested after making an Iranian version of a Western music video. For their indecent behavior, they had to make a public apology on Iranian state television. They were given a suspended sentence of 90 lashes. But today, 3 years later, the girl from the band clip has become a celebrated Instagram star.
Hello, Thomas, خوبی؟
Hi, خوبی؟ مرسی.
مرسی، حالا چطوری؟
خیلی ممنون. مرسی ریان، خوبی؟
خیلی ممنون.
مرسی، خیلی ممنون. با هم چه حال شده؟
تقریبا من یه ماه پیش در واقع مشکلم حل شد.
یه ماه پیش.
یه ماهه. یعنی ما اون چیزی که داشتیم، حکمی که داشتیم که تعلیق داشت در واقع یه ماه پیش تموم شد بالاخره.
باز الان تو یه ستاره،
یعنی من دیگه الان آزادم.
آزادی، خدای شکر. الان یه ستاره تو اینستاگرام شدی دیگه، درسته؟
فکر کنم اگه تو میگی.
چند تا فالوور داری؟
نزدیک 180 تا.
180,000 تا فالوور. برای من خیلی جالب بود وقتی که اینجا انتخابات بود، انتخابات رئیس جمهور، تو خیلی اکتیو بودی.
آره. به خاطر اینکه آخه اون من فکر می‌کنم اینکه ما آزاد شدیم مثلا کار روحانی بود. یعنی فکر می‌کنم که اون به خصوص اون توییتی که روحانی کرد که happiness is our people's right و اینکه راجع به شادی و سختی باشیم، خب اون خیلی مهم بود. یعنی من فکر می‌کنم اون رو که گذاشت به سرعت ظرف چند ساعت ما، یعنی این به نظر من این همون دلیلیه که مثلا روحانی شروع کرده از اینستاگرام استفاده کنه.
President Rouhani made himself enormously popular after being elected by bringing about a tenfold increase in the speed of the internet. Everyone is on Instagram. Look, for instance, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. There he is, 1.6 million followers. Speeches, photos, denunciations of other countries. More politics. Hassan Rouhani, the president of Iran. Hassan Rouhani, 1.9 million followers. Does that make him the most famous Iranian on Instagram? No. That honor goes to Taraneh Ali Dousti, an actress with 5.1 million followers. When she speaks out on Instagram, the country listens. Thanks to the internet, Western influences are pouring into the country. Like here, another modern arrival in present-day Iran. They're popping up everywhere. Cappuccino cafes. Here you can do things that were banned for years. Listen to Western music, share a table with the opposite sex, and wear your headscarf balancing on the very back of your head. That sudden freedom looks like a good call by the government. Go on, drink as many cappuccinos as you like while roaming the internet, as long as you keep your nose out of our politics. It seemed to work for a while. These customers didn't look like they were hoping to overthrow the religious leaders. But below the surface, Iran is simmering with discontent everywhere. The volcano can always erupt at any given moment.
De regering van Iran maakt zich zorgen over de protesten in het land tegen het verplicht dragen van een hoofddoek. Op social media verschenen deze beelden.
Suddenly, they were all over the world news and social media. Women waving their headscarves until passers-by had filmed them and spread the images around the country. It's a dangerous protest because for years the religious police have clamped down on women who violated the dress code. Their green and white vans had disappeared from the streets for a while.
Yeah, you saw.
But it's now apparent that they never really left. If you thought that these images belong to the past, this is a rude awakening. The next morning, I suddenly see my friend Banafsheh appear on Instagram. I happen to know her from one of those cappuccino cafes. For 20 minutes during rush hour, she waves her headscarf on a stick. And she's lucky. She doesn't get arrested.
کامم نیستند. نه اصلا. تازه بیشترن یه تعدادشون آوردم. در واقع فقط.
ببین ولی الان مثلا ما فیلم برداری میکنیم اتفاقا از قانون جمهوری اسلامی نگاه میکنی باید هم بپوشی حجاب.
آره.
ولی چرا نمیپوشی الان؟
من کلا نمیدونم اگه مجبور نباشم نمیپوشم دیگه.
این خونه خودت هم هست؟
خونه خودم هم هست و فکر کنم تنها جایی که حجاب میکنم یعنی حتی تو خیابون اینا هم جلوی گشت ارشاد و ایناست، یعنی تا میتونم رعایتش نمیکنم چون که نمیخوام رعایت کنم، بدن منه و انتخاب منه.
خودت کی اول پوشیدی یادته؟
من از اول دوم دبستان میپوشیدم، یعنی خیلی مؤمن و مذهبی بودم. یه فیلمی هست تولد یکی از دوستامه و سوم دبستانی به 9 سالمونه. بعد اون سنیه که به سن تکلیف میرسیم. سن تکلیف و
جشن تکلیف.
بله جشن تکلیف و ایناست.
یه جشنی هست دیگه مثلا همه میگه تو زن شدی.
آره و دیگه باید حجاب کنی و اینا. بعد خونه این دوستم تولد گرفته بودن یه سری دختر 9 ساله و همه دارن اون وسط میرقصن و دامن کوتاه پوشیدن و خوشحالن و من که جوگیر جشن تکلیفم یه لباس آستین بلند پوشیدم، رو سری مستحکم فیلم ازش موجوده بود متاسفانه و نشستم اون کوچه سامان باک خیلی جدی رو سری از اون موقع ها تا کم کم که دیگه مثلا بزرگتر شدم هی رو سری رفت عقب‌تر چون خانواده مذهبی هم دارم من.
پس مامان بابانت هم خیلی دوست داشتن تو دیگه.
آره من مادرم چادری هستم.
الان نصیحتی بهتون نمیگن مثلا بابا بپوش دیگه؟
نه شبیه اینه که مثلا یه زن دیوانه‌ای تو فامیل هست که اینو پذیرفتن دیگه. این شکلیه دیگه. دلش پاکه ولی این شکلی.
The nutty woman had set all her hopes on President Rouhani last year. He would bring more freedom. Later, I watched her president defending protesters on TV.
مردم در بیان انتقادشون و حتی اعتراضشون کاملا آزاد هستند.
But he is overruled by Supreme Leader Khamenei. In the end, he and the Revolutionary Guards decide what is and what isn't allowed. Even though the president has less of a say in matters than he would like, his job is still in high demand. At the Ministry of Interior, an event takes place that will surprise many Western onlookers. For 3 days, an uninterrupted stream of Iranians pour inside here. They line up to put themselves forward as candidates for the presidency. So it turns out that anyone in Iran can try to become the next president. That seems very democratic, but everyone knows that only a few candidates will be declared eligible to run for office. Of the many thousands of candidates, only a handful remain. This year, there are also some female candidates, but they stand little chance. Of course, there are also some oddballs, an attention seeker, and a man who is against everything.
من اومدم اینجا بگم که یه سری کاندیدا هستن که وعده‌های پوپولیستی میدن، یارانه‌های نجومی میخوان بدن. اگه واقعا این کارن چرا طرحشو به دولت آقای روحانی نمیدن؟ من طرفدار آقای روحانی هستم.
But what I missed that morning was the arrival of an old acquaintance, who apparently also sees himself as presidential timber.
Ja, daar zit hij. Pas in همینجا بود.
آره همینجا بود.
صبح. تنها اومده و دیگه هم
آره تنها اومده بود. دارم بازم.
چیزی هم گفت؟
نه
هیچی نگفته، فقط اسمشو نوشته.
فقط نوشتن و اومدن برای ثبت نام.
So even Mr. Big Mouth wants to become president now. A lot has changed since we filmed here 3 years ago. In my office for the New York Times, my assistant Somaya's desk has been empty for a while. After the first film ran on Dutch television, she received many marriage proposals. She swept them all aside and left for the United States. But more about that later. In my mother-in-law's house, time hasn't stood still either. Back then, every day at lunchtime, it was a hive of activity. Everyone was talking all at once. But when I visit Nusha's mother today, she sits in her kitchen all alone.
دیگه یه زمانی همه دور میز جمع می‌شدیم بودن. الان دیگه تنها شدیم و خلاصه جای همم خالیه.
Grandma died a year ago. My brother-in-law finally decided to get married and moved out of the house. And Nusha's sister, Negin, went to seek her fortune in America.
دیگه همینه، دنیا همینه. یه روزی همه هستی دوره هم، یه روز هم نیست. هر کی میره یه گوشه و
خب عکس نوهتون داری؟
آره دیگه، دلم براشون تنگ میشه، عکساشون همه به در و دیوار و خونه و با این عکسا و خلاصه دلمون رو خوش کردیم. شما که یه دونه بچه نمیارین که ما سرمون گرم شه. هی با گربه.
It's a recurrent theme in my family. And my mother-in-law is expert at bringing it up when I least expect it. Why don't Nusha and I have any children yet?
بچه شما به نظرم خیلی بامزه میشه. 2 نژاد ایرانی و اروپایی.
شاید خیلی زشت میشه با دماغ بالا و چشم چاپ و
خیلی هم خوشگل میشه. چرا زشت میشه؟ خیلی هم خوشگل میشه.
And once my mother-in-law gets started, she doesn't stop.
خب دیگه بالاخره شما باید زودتر از اونا می آورد.
ما فقط که 14 سال عروسی کردیم دیگه
نیوشا که انقدر دیگه مشغول کارش و عاشق کارش دیگه اصلا به این چیزا فکر نمیکنه. ولی
الان روش فکر میکنه.
آره ولی بالاخره باید یه کم کم یه ذره فکر کنه. یه میوه بخور تماس.
مرسی.
بفرمایید.
Everyone in this country gets to have an opinion about our procreation. It's great that Nusha is busy with the new exhibition of her photos, but too busy to have children? That is unacceptable in this country. Although Nusha has other fish to fry, and I am one of them.
It's just first time he's here. He didn't help me at all. At all. Yes, please film him. He should shy now. Look at the camera and say sorry. He didn't help me at all, and he was just busy with himself. So, yes. Yeah, and
in other places, I always help a lot.
Yes, that's true. He says I help you a lot sometimes. I say yes.
Yay!
But it's fine. We want to make baby, don't do this.
Actually, that was what your mother was saying.
What my mother said.
Saying, oh, why they don't have baby? We're gonna make baby.
Why you should...
So happy I want to have a baby.
Yeah, but the thing is, everybody wants me or him to do what they love, but I think when I'm 80 years old, I want to look out of the window and when it's snowing and think, rethink and reflect, and I want to be this 80 years old happy woman to be I'm proud in any decision I've ever made. And this is what I love to do. I'm not going to let anyone force me. My family, friends, society, nobody.
In Holland it's exactly the same. Everybody asks me, when you're going to get a baby? And so, okay, you know, maybe we can't get babies. We don't know. I mean, we're just, you know what I mean? So...
No, I'm sure one day we will be parents, but not now.
And now that Nusha started working as a Magnum photographer, the babies will have to wait even longer. Meanwhile, I just have to find out how Mr. Big Mouth is doing, even if it makes some officials unhappy. I want to know if he still fiercely opposes the internet and women with driver's licenses. Or is he too embracing modernity?
سلام علیکم.
سلام.
حال شما. Thank you very much. خوب هستید؟ بفرمایید. خوش اومدید. خوش اومدید.
ممنونم. خیلی وقت هم دیگه ندیدیم. 3 سال شد. خونات عوض کردی. سلام، خوب هستی شما؟ شما خوبی؟ خیلی ممنون.
خانوممه.
مرسی.
دیگه خودتون میدونی الان پسرم هم هست.
سلام، خوب هستی؟
پسر کوچیکه منه.
کوچیک ولی خیلی بزرگ شدی.
ماشاءالله 3-4 سال پیش دیدیم کوچیک بود.
چه خب از بابات بزرگتر شدی.
خب دیگه.
خیلی ممنون. پس همه چیز عوض شده.
بله دیگه همه چی خوبه.
همه چیز عوض شده.
گفتم که بهت عوض میشه. نمیشه بفرمایید. بله بفرمایید. اینجا اتاقش ما به این اتاق میگیم اتاق جنگ.
اتاق جنگ اینجا؟
بله، ستاد فرماندهی جنگ که یک قسمتش جنگ سخته که هر موقع تحت امر ولی امر مسلمین جهانیم، هر موقع اجازه بده دستور بده بلافاصله لباس رو میپوشیم آماده ایم. یه قسمت جنگ نرمه که به اصطلاح ما در فضای مجازی کنترل میکنیم کانال‌های تلگرامی رو که ببینیم در مورد کشور ما، در مورد ملت ما، در مورد جهان چی چیزایی میگن. جنگ نیست که شما فکر کنید به راحتی اومدین سوال کردین و جواب گرفتین. نه، الان پیشرفته شده، دنیا داره در الان
تکنولوژی داریم دیگه. خیلی اونا با تکنولوژی هم میجنگن.
آره، ما اون تکنولوژی و اونها با همون تکنولوژی که اینا درست کردن با اون
زمانی که ما با هم صحبت کردیم گفتی اینترنت خوب نیست. یادته؟
بله، گفتم خوب نیست، ولی اون مال کی بود؟ مال 3 سال پیش بود. ولی الان نه، الان عوض شده. الان میگم جنگ نرم اینه، جنگ سخت اینه. ما یعنی آماده ایم به طور 24 ساعت هم در کانال‌های مجازی، حتی مطبوعاتشون، رسانه‌هاشون به طور جدی فعال.
So even Mr. Big Mouth has been swayed by the social change in Iran. A few years ago that seemed inconceivable. Now his computer is on 24 hours a day. And his wife no longer hides away in the kitchen. And more, she records our entire conversation on her own cell phone. و این موبایل خودتون؟
بله.
اون زمان آیه احمد اولی گفته دیگه ما دوست ندارم زن رانندگی کنه. ولی الان موبایل مشکلی نیست؟
بله، نه دیگه مشکل نیست.
خانومتون تصدیق گرفته؟
بله.
پس این 3 سال پیش به ما چی گفتی؟
بالاخره گزوره دیگه.
نگرانم، خانومم کنار راه دیگه ماشین خراب بشه و دیگه چیکار کنم؟ الان تصدیق گرفتی؟
یه چیزی من به شما بگم.
تبریک میگم. از خانومتون بپرسیم. سخت بود رانندگی؟ دوست داری؟
بله.
خیلی تون نمیری؟
تون میرم.
ماشینتون خراب نشده تو بیابون؟
خیلی الانم خراب شده بیابونه.
و چی کار میکنی وقتی که خراب میشه؟
زنگ میزنم میرم خودرو میان میبرن.
آمونه دیگه. پس این 3 سال پیش خیلی عوض شده.
میگم دیگه.
اون زمان گفتی نشسته بودی گفتی نمیتونه بره.
گفتم نمیتونه بره. الانم اگه ببین
عوض شدی، مدرن‌تر شدی. الان من هم اینجا تو یه چیزی هم خیلی فرق کرده به 3 سال پیش هم الان اینستاگرام دارم.
بله منم دارم. بله من به انگلیسی اگه بنویسین حمید رضا احمدآبادی دات حمید رضا دات احمدآبادی اینستاگرامه.
حمید رضا دات احمدآبادی.
بله 3 سوت همینجا فیلم میگیرم همینجا هم بلافاصله میریزم توی آپارات. من تو سایت آپارات میریزم فیلمامو. بلافاصله چی؟ 3 سوت
مبل تصدیق خانومت.
بله.
خب کشورتون هم یه ذره مدرن‌تر شده، خودت هم مدرن‌تر شده.
مدرن‌تر شده بله. من همونم. چیزی مدرن نشده.
نمیدونم دیگه شما همونه. با 3 سال پیش یه ذره.
فقط یک ذره از سنتی آوردمش به پیشرفته.
و یه چیزی عوض نشده. میشه
این. یعنی بله دیگه این همیشه هست. این همیشه یعنی چی؟ اخطار به دشمنامون داریم میدیم که حواستون باشه ما در تمام همه حرکات شما سکنات شما رو 24 ساعته چی؟ کنترل میکنیم.
Mr. Big Mouth always makes me chuckle a bit. But make no mistake, his ideas haven't changed. He is still the same religious zealot. Equally zealous, the religious police have been confronting women on the street. Protesters who dare to climb up on one of these power boxes without a headscarf. On Instagram, I see how the situation gets more tense. When this woman refuses to climb down, an officer steamrolls her. She lands badly and breaks a leg. She was arrested and could be sentenced up to 10 years in prison. When I see this video on Instagram, I'm amazed at how cheerfully Banafshet told me a few days earlier how she got the idea for her action. پس اون روز نقش کشیدی یا یه هو دیگه تصمیم گرفتی ما میخوام
نه خیلی یه هویی بود حتی تو تاکسی بودم که این بود که رفتم آتلیه در باز کردم به دوستام گفتم که اینا یه دقیقه پیشتون باشه گوشیم هم زنگ خورد جواب بدید من رفتم.
نگفتی بهشون
چرا فکر کردن شوخی دارم میکنم
واقعا؟
و آره
کسی نگفتین این کار نکنید تو خدا
نه خندیدن و یعنی
خندیدن
آره خندیدن و یه ولی گفتم ولی فکر کنم باورشون هم نشد یعنی
پس همینجا بود؟ کجا بود؟
اینجا این پست برقی که کنارونیم
همونه؟
آره
همونه و مردم مثل همین الان رد کردن
آره همینطور راحت رد میشدن و هم رفتم با مزدگیش اینه که اینجا چرا قرمزه و برای همین خیلی ماشین وایساده بود یعنی آدم از تو ماشینم خیلی شلوغ بود داره.
و مردم چی گفتن؟
مردم اولش که همه فقط داشتن نگاه میکردن خیلی گوشی در آورده بودن طبقه یعنی راننده تاکسی مثلا به زور گوشیش هم گرفته بود و از این برام رانندگی میکرد و اینا. یه خانم آقای تاکسی که سوارش بودن نگه داشتن و پیاده شدن بهم گفتن کلی هم تشویقم کردن گفتن دخترم تو رو خدا بیا پایین دیگه بس سلام میام میگیرن تو از این حرفا. بعد فکر کنم مثلا 5 دقیقه بعدش بود که دوستم داشت اینستاگرام چک میکرد گفت عاطف عکست اومد بیرون و یهو دیدیم که یعنی همینطوری من توییترمو باز کردم دیدم که به همه جا خیلی عکس سری پخش شد و
هنوز میتونه تو پیدا کنند.
آره یعنی روز اول خودم استرس داشتم دوستان گفتن که شبکه‌های اجتماعی تو ببند یا مثلا اگه درباره قضیه تو تلگرام باشون حرف زده بودم گفتم پاک کن یا مثلا آدمای حساس‌تر که داشتن میگفتم مثلا این پالتومو دیگه دوستان پالتو که جاکتمو دیگه دوستان نمیذارم بپوشم میگن خیلی تابلو و همه میشناسنت با این ژاکت و از این حرفا. ولی مثلا روز اول که گذشت فکرم دیگه خیلی احمقانه است اگه روزهای دیگه بخوام بیان دنبال این آدمایی که اینطوری بودن و اگه قراره جای زندگی کنیم که یه روز روسری تو در میری و فردا به خاطرش میان پیدات میکنن و مثلا بازداشتت میکنن من ترجیح میدم توی جای اینطوری بازداشت بشم تا اینکه مثلا احتیاط کنم که یه موقع.
Banafshet's almost carefree tone is in stark contrast to the strong reactions from the religious side. And it was only a matter of time before Big Mouth also weighed in. On Instagram, he threatens to kill one of the promoters of the campaign. When you read his words, he suddenly becomes a lot less funny. We warned you plenty of times, he writes, but you haven't changed your ways. One of these days, you will be slaughtered in your house. Time to say goodbye to your family. First, I hoped it was a sick joke, but when we called him, he only doubled down. He literally said on the phone, I will sell my pomegranate orchard. I will offer up the $500,000 it will yield as a reward to anyone who manages to kill her. In addition, the killer will receive the weight of her tongue in gold. Of course, Big Mouth may seem crazy, but after reading his threats, I'm suddenly worried about Banafsheh. Her friends tell me that she has left the country for a while. She didn't tell her friends how long she plans to leave Iran. Then I find another surprise on Instagram. Banafsheh and her friends singing in the Tehran subway on International Women's Day.
چو هم صدا شویم و پا به پای هم رویم و دست به دست هم دهیم و از ستم رها شویم جهان دیگری بسازیم از برابری به همدلی و خواهری جهان شاد و بهتری نه سنگ و سارها نه پای چوب نار.
It is unlikely that the religious leaders will ever allow women to take off their headscarves in public. To them, that would mean the beginning of the end of the Islamic Republic. Imagine, you're an average Iranian. You're asleep. Somebody wakes you up at night and whispers in your ear saying, "You'll get to go abroad tomorrow." Which country would you like to visit? I think that 9 times out of 10, you would get the same answer.
آمریکا.
آمریکا.
فقط آمریکا. برای اینکه آزادی مطلق از همه نظر آزادی عقیده است. افراد آزادن. راحت زندگی.
آمریکا.
آمریکا هم بودم. نه.
دوست نداری بری؟
نه.
باز آمریکا؟
نه خیلی چیز بود. زیاد بزرگ بود. آدم احساس امنیت نمی‌کرد.
آمریکا که خیلی، چون آب و هواشو خیلی دوست دارم.
یا آمریکا یا ایران.
آمریکا.
آزی جان خوبی؟ سلام خوبی؟ قربونه تو خوبی؟
There's one time of the day when I can't disturb my mother-in-law. That's when she, along with thousands of other Iranian moms, sits behind her laptop for her daily Skype call with her daughter in America.
برای کریسمس برنامه‌ای نداری؟
About 1 million Iranians live in the United States, and among them are some big fish. Whether a journalist for CNN, or the founder of eBay, CEO at Uber or vice president at Google, or security advisor to George W. Bush, they've all reached the top and they're all of Iranian descent. And they all have their roots in this country. This is Hassan. He is 18. For as long as he can remember, he's worked in his family's rice fields.
و همون روزی که این خبر خیلی خوش شنیدی همینجا بودی.
البته اینجا بودم کار میکردم بعدش رفتم خونه توی حمام بودم بعد مثل که پدر مادرم هم اینجا بودن جواب اومد بهش زنگ زدن بعد برادرم سریع اومد خونه میزد به در حموم که بیا بیرون و هش شدی من با خوشحالی سریع اومدم بیرون.
So why was Hassan so happy? Because Hassan is actually one of the smartest kids in this country. He took part in the national university exam called the concours. And over 1 million people participate in this concours. And in his special field, 150,000 people compete. And they compete for basically the first spot. You became number?
21.
21. 21 smartest kids.
3 and 8 in my field.
8 in your field. So 21 national and 8 in his field. This is a super high number. خیلی باهوش هستی نه؟ Since his results proved he's one of the smartest boys in Iran, Hassan has become a hero in the village. And he can't move an inch without the whole village following him. The first to congratulate him was his grandfather.
وقتی که اون خبر اومد بیرون تو منطقه مردم چی گفتن؟
ای وای همه خوشحال شدن.
وای چجوری؟
خیلی اصلا جشن گرفتن. آره خوشحال شدن. ما همین تو زمین بودیم اینجا دیدیم یه با تلفن به باباش که خبر دادن دیدیم باباش پرواز میکنه داره فرار میکنه میره. پسر کجا میری؟ ما کار داریم. تو کجا میری؟ میگه بابا الان کار ولش کن بذار
بریم اونجا
بریم چقدر. آره خیلی خوشحال شدیم.
خیلی خوبه. فکر میکنیم بخوای تو ایران بمونه یا شاید بخواد بره خارج؟
خدمت که بایستی به ایران بکنه. حالا با همه زحمت اینا باعث خدمتش در ایران باشه. حالا دیگه اون خودش میدونه.
ولی اون بچهای تیزهوش ایران خیلی میره آمریکا اونجا تو دانشگاه درس میخونن بعدن هم درس میدن. شاید اینجوری هم بشه؟
درس خون خب بره بخونه اشکال نداره. ولی خدمتش باعث به وطنش باشه.
وطنش باشه.
آره دیگه ان شاء الله.
Granddad is mightily proud of Hassan, if only because it gives him an excuse to burst into song. Hassan is still a bit overwhelmed by his 8th place in mathematics. But now he wants the best of the best. So he has done his homework on the best American universities.
دانشگاه MIT حسن هاوارد
Massachusetts Institute of Technology. و از همه کدوم اگر یکی می‌خواستی انتخاب کنی کدوم دوست انتخاب کنی؟
بهترینشون بگم سانتیاگو استنفورد باشه دیگه.
استنفورد. دلتنگ اونا دلتنگ میشی دیگه.
آره. تنهایی سابقه‌اش هم نداشتم سخت هست. یه با عادت کرد.
غذای دستپخت مامانت دیگه نیست؟
نه.
ها؟ باید خود آشپزی کنی؟
باز بشه لاغر بشه.
Hassan isn't much of a talker. They know that in the village. He's bound to miss them. The next day, he will leave to go to university in distant Tehran. And everybody in the village knows that after studying in Tehran, along with 98% of those other prize-winning smart students, he will probably go to the USA. Lucky him. Hassan's village reminds me of Dolatabad, the town where my assistant Somaya grew up. She took Islamic studies there, but increasingly felt suffocated.
Things seems frozen here. Things do not change that much. You know, when I was a little child, it was almost this, like it is now.
3 years ago, she couldn't be clearer. She wouldn't stay in Iran.
من هنوز تهمونده‌های امیدم رو دارم استفاده میکنم. نمیدونم دارم فکر میکنم شاید برای تحصیل برم.
مالزی باشه، آمریکا باشه.
آره فکر میکنم نمیمونم دیگه. یعنی من تا 6 ماه پیشم اینجوری فکر نمیکردم ولی الان دیگه رسیدم به جایی که آره.
چیکار کنم؟ تو نیستی.
نه الان فکر نکن الان تو برم یا الان کشه.
Somaya left far sooner than I had expected. She went to study journalism at New York's Columbia University. I decide to visit her, curious to see how she's doing. I'd already read in her emails that it hadn't been easy. She had to share a tiny room with a former model. Her roommate needed the room for herself 3 days a week. She would have male visitors and needed Somaya out of the way. Whoa. Oh, there is a window.
Yeah, there is a very small window at the end of the room. So, welcome to my last year room.
Which bed was yours?
There.
Next to the window?
Yeah, and imagine that I had my own place after years fighting to have my own independence in Tehran. I got a very nice 2-bedroom apartment in Tehran and I left everything behind.
You worked hard for it.
And came here, yeah.
So you had a roommate. You come from Iran.
Mm-hmm.
And what was this roommate like?
Well, she was a very social girl, totally active into relationship. You know, I learned a lot from her, but I learned a lot from some sides of life that we totally don't have in Iran. Like, it happened a couple of times that I would come to my room and she was with her dates, and it's the shared room. And yeah, you know, I didn't know what to do.
What did you do?
Yeah, I would say hi. I would just, you know, I just played around and just grabbed some stuff from my room and left the room while I just had come home to rest. Yeah, bye, sorry.
That was quite a different take on freedom from what she had expected. She and her fellow students now laugh about it. Especially about those endless phone calls she had to listen to.
It was so funny that she would share every detail of any relationship that she had with her boyfriends, with her mom. And sometimes it was...
But so how would it be? Should we on the phone like,
hi,
Mom?
Hi, Mom, this guy is doing this or that. And it's not just what the guy would do at the, you know, restaurant. Everything she would share with her mom. And it was, oh my God, I can never, ever imagine I have such a relationship with my mom. Maybe my best friends, but Mom, seriously? Yeah, that was totally different.
I realized what an enormous culture shock it must have been for Somaya. Not so much her roommate, she laughs about that now, but American society where seemingly everything goes. So I can't think of a more different environment than Tehran.
Yeah.
You learn stuff and it's so calm.
Yeah, welcome to Colombia.
And what's up with the hat?
Huh. So,
I mean, why not wear a scarf?
I'm planning to keep on, you know, I'm thinking about going back to Iran someday, work from there, so I prefer to follow the rules. You know, in some ways it sounds coward that I follow a rule without believing in it, but I believe in bigger things, like going back and changing things over there. Not changing them to bad hijabi or not wearing hijab, but if I want to be a reporter over there, I prefer to follow rules to some extent so I can work. So it's like I balance my expectations, so they also balance a bit with me, and hopefully it works.
I think Somaya is brave. Whereas most Iranians in the US don't want to go back to Iran, Somaya is determined. She does want to go back. And if she follows the Iranian dress code, she can go back. But that isn't the case for all Iranians in America.
چه احساس قشنگی تو قلبم تو رو دارم ببین چه خوبه ای گل توی تو روزگارم چه احساس قشنگی تو قلبم تو رو دارم ببین چه خوبه ای گل توی تو روزگارم چقدر خوبه عزیزم کنارم.
I'm sitting here at this near abandoned parking lot next to a studio waiting for the Persian superstar Andy. Andy lives right here in LA, but he's known in Iran as the Prince of Persian Pop.
And he is so famous that at every Iranian wedding, people play his song. Not bad, how are you?
All right.
Merci, nice to meet you.
Yes.
Like many people, Andy used to dream of becoming a rock star. And just before the Shah was chased out of the country by Khomeini in 1979, Andy was about to make his big breakthrough.
I managed to record one album because CBS record company had just opened a branch in Iran, and they discovered in Tehran. They discovered me and they said, "Hey, we have found the Iranian Rod Stewart. We want to take him to America and all that." And I did a track, and we were on the right track to become the Iranian Rod Stewart, and revolution broke out. So everybody fled, and I lost contacts.
And what made you decide to leave immediately?
That was my plan to leave because I was discovered. I was going to be an American singer.
The Iranian rock star, based in Los Angeles, became hugely popular in the Iran of the mullahs. But soon his music was officially banned there.
When we would do music here, it would be recorded on VHS tapes,
the video cassettes,
smuggled in Iran, and people would watch it at home, and suddenly it was the thing. It was amazing.
Yeah. So then comes the point, you're super famous, then you would think, okay, I should have a concert in Iran.
Right. Well, even from the beginning, it was clear our music is banned in Iran. Our way of life is banned in Iran because we had female dancers. It was a little too American for the Iranian regime taste. But thank God that we had the opportunity to go to Dubai and the surrounding countries, and then later on in Armenia, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and people would come outside of Iran to see us. And that was an amazing feeling because when they come out and see us, we feel like the Beatles.
Because they're so enthusiastic.
Yeah, hungry for music, and they haven't seen their artists.
پریا خانوم چه متین و مهربونه محرم دلم اگه نباشه نمیشه.
Some of his fans spent their last money on a ticket to Dubai or Armenia so that they could see their idol at least once. But the millions of fans inside Iran can only dream that the clerics will ever let Andy perform in his own country. You even have one video clip that you, as a sort of animated figure, go back and you fly over Iran, and then you jump out of a plane. It's a pretty nice clip. But then you actually go on a motorcycle and you tour the whole country.
Right.
And everywhere people are waving, welcome back, Andy.
Sure, it's very sad. It's sad because we should be there. We should be touring every city, every village. I grew up in that country and I love that country. And I always thought that's possible. Although it's been 38 years already, maybe more, but I keep thinking that's possible, and it will happen.
It's usually in a secret location, preferably far from Tehran. The members share information on Instagram. What time? How many people? And most importantly, where? They convene in secret a few times a year. Andy's Iranian fan club. It's all very innocent. They only play his latest songs. And today, there's a surprise guest, an Andy impersonator.
He performs all over Iran under a surprising name, Mandy.
Was Mandy الان چند سال این کار میکنید؟
من
تو عروسی؟
تو عروسی‌ها به صورت حرفه‌ای که رفتم تقریبا 4 ساله. اینکه تو خیابون من دارم میرم همه میگن چقدر شبیه اندیه، چقدر شبیه، حالا کوچیک بزرگ محجبه است، به قول معروف راحت، همه اندی رو میشناسن.
و پلیس اذیتت نمیکنه؟
پلیس اذیت نه، برای چه اذیت بکنه؟ میگن از ما کاری به سیاست و اینا نداریم، ما فقط هدفمون خوشحال کردن مردمه. بعد به خاطر همین نه، خیلی مواقع شده که پلیس اصلا دیده به من گفته بزن کنار، با ماشین بودم اومده پایین عکس گرفته و رفته.
I have a surprise for them. A live connection with their idol in Los Angeles.
People here that are very interested in talking to you.
سلام. چطوری اندی جان؟ خوبی؟ قربونه، خیلی خوشحالم که دارم میبینمت.
Like starstruck teens, they wait in line to talk to their hero. Some of them have driven for hours to get here.
یه چیزی می‌خواستم بهتون نشون بدم، یه کاری کردم که همیشه با من همراه باشید.
None of these fans ever saw Andy perform in Iran. They're too young for that.
یکی از راه میرسه اون که با عشق آشناست انگار از جاده میاد.
This is one of those moments when I realize what a bizarre country this sometimes is. These people have come together in secret because the nation's leaders have banned their favorite singer who sings innocent songs about love, even when the whole country listens to those songs. So does he, one of the smartest kids in the country. This could be the last day that he trudges through his family's rice fields. Tomorrow, he will start his new life in Tehran.
خب پس چامدونت جمع میکنی؟
آره دیگه.
مامان چامدونت جمع میکنه؟
منم کمکش کنم.
چی بخوای بیاری خانم؟
من بیشتر لباسایی که الان احتیاج داره. اصلا از ما دور نبوده. حسن.
و اگر خارج میره کدوم آینده باش میبینی؟
من بیشتر فکر میکنم خارج بره برای تحصیل، دوباره برگرده. من دلم میخواد که پیشم باشه، حالا نزدیکیم لااقل باشه.
Hassan, with his predilection for numbers, figured it out long ago. It's precisely 10,142 kilometers from his mother's lap to Times Square, New York. One way. The return journey is something that most exam winners rarely undertake once they've reached America.
و شما از کجا فهمیدی دیگه حسن جان اینقدر باهوشه؟
ایشون از بچگی دکتر متخصص اطفال، زمانی که 1 سالش بود ما اینو بردیم پیش آقای دکتر شجاعی که هنوزم هستن.
خب
به اتفاق مادرش بردیم، بعد دکترش دستش اینجوری کرد گذاشت روی سرش و سرشو فشار داد.
خب
بعد من گفتم آقای دکتر چیکار میکنین؟ گفت این کله پر از مغزه. گفتم شما از کجا فهمیدی آقای دکتر؟ چرا این حرفو میزنی؟ چه فرقی با کله‌های دیگه؟ گفت این جمجمه بهترین وضعیت برای قرار گرفتن مغز است. و همونجا ما فهمیدیم که ایشون یه خورده متفاوت هست.
چه فشار روشونت هست؟ الان یه ذره نگران نمیشی؟
نه من به حال تا میتونم
خیلی ریلکس.
دنبال هدفم میرم، هر چی شد دیگه. از این که خیال راحت من تلاشمو کردم، حالا چه بشه چه نشه.
For the last time, Hassan will lay his big brainy head to rest in his teenage bed on a pillow fluffed up by his mom. And what will he dream about? It's as clear as day. America. This is Westwood, and everything here is Iranian. I bet the first person I'll come across will speak Persian. Look, Persian pizza. ببخشید شما ایرانی هستید؟ خوب هستید شما؟ همه چه خوبه؟ خیلی ممنون. مرسی ممنونم. با اجازه. So many Iranians live here, people have started calling the area Tehrangeles. Most of the Iranians here are highly educated. You'd almost think that every Iranian studied to be a doctor or a lawyer. And what do you study?
Psychobiology.
Because all Iranians study something really smart, right?
Yeah.
And you're gonna be like doctor, super smart?
Hopefully a psychiatrist.
Why all Iranians are so smart?
I don't know, because they've had like a hard life in Iran. So when they come here, they want to be the best they can be. And like, I guess a doctor is the best that you can be, educational wise.
What is the American dream? Get rich and, if at all possible, get famous. Iranian migrants, of course, want to achieve the same goals. And Gorgon Zakarian was successful in making it. He started a car repair shop, won the lottery, and also proved to be an amazing entertainer when a video clip he made promoting his company went viral on the internet.
Hey baby, how is your car run? Do you have a trouble with your transmission? Shift it in forward, shift it in reverse. Domestico foreign, I please you with my service. Shift it in forward, shift it in reverse. Domestico foreign, I please you with my service.
Waar van je Gorgon?
Hi. What's this? Hi, how you doing?
Hi, how are you doing? Good to meet you.
Me too.
Definitely.
Good.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. How are you?
It's amazing to see you in real life. You're very famous.
Thank you so much. Maybe you're famous more than me.
I think you're very more famous than
I'm
me.
lucky, yeah.
But see here, Ellen DeGeneres.
I was into that show.
How do you like America?
Of course I like it here.
Yeah?
It's good, yeah. I'm a long time here, almost 29 years.
29 years.
My son is born here.
Okay.
It's good.
So this is America is great.
Of course. Enjoy.
خیلی خوبه.
خیلی خوبه. خوشحالم. من ایرانم بودم خوشحال بودم.
همیشه خوشحالی.
آره همیشه خوشحالم من به خدا نمیدونم بابا مامانم منو خوشحال به دنیا آوردن.
چیکار خوبی کردن. واسه پس این همه ترانسمیشن کارتون.
آره دیگه فقط اسپشیالیست ترانسمیشن هستم. سالهای سال. 40 سال 40 years.
تو ایران همین کار کردی؟
آره همین کار کردم. من موقعی که 20 سالم بود. من 20 سالم بود شروع کردم. بیزنس ترانسمیشن ما فامیلیه. مشکلات و خانمم حامله بود خیلی میترسید از بمب و این چیزا. من دلداریش میدادم باز اون میترسید. در نتیجه گفتیم که بریم آمریکا رو ببینیم. بعد اومدیم و موندگار شدیم.
Hello, my name is Gorgon. Let me help you shift it.
Even celebrities like Richard Gere have their car repaired by Gorgon. But despite his popularity, more than anything else, Gorgon still feels Iranian.
من هنوز اینجا غریبم. هنوز غریبم.
ولی همه شما میشناسن.
نه غریبه از نظر کشوری میگم. من هنوز هوش و حواسم، دوستام، همه خاطراتم اونجاست. من از در روز 50% اونجا هستم 50% اینجا هستم. نمیتونم فراموشش کنم چون اونجا زندگی خوبی داشتم، دوران خوبی داشتم، جوانی داشتم. بعد اینا ازدواج کردم، سربازی رفتم و به هر حال اینا میدونن دوستای زیادی پیدا کردم. کار گذاشته بودم، تازه راه افتاده بودم، باقی داشتم. مگه میشه اونا رو فراموش کرد؟
نه نمیشه، اصلا نمیشه دیگه. من
فکر میکنم سرزمین مثل مادره، تو هیچ موقع نمیتونی ازش. و اینا هم به هر حال محل کارمونه.
Gorgon's big hobby is singing and he sometimes performs. But he would never have thought of recording a commercial for his garage.
تایپ کن shift it.
shift همونه.
کردم 2 میلیون در عرض 2 روز اینا نگاه کردم. گفتم چی داری میگین این فکر نیست؟ گفت که نه این درسته. بعد روز بعد شد 3 میلیون، بعد روز بعد 4 میلیون.
چی شد؟ شما فکر می‌کنید یهو دیگه
این بعد دیدم بچه‌ام زنگ زدن جیغ کشیدن گفتن بابا چیکار کردی تو؟ تمام به ما تبریک میگن فلان مین همه نگاه کردن 5 میلیون. بعد شروع کردن دیگه به ترتیب.
Shift it in forward, shift it in reverse. Domestico foreign, I please you with my service. Shift it in forward, shift it in reverse. Domestico foreign, I please you with my service.
Gorgon didn't earn a penny on his video, but he doesn't care. He enjoys all the attention. The video was picked up by the BBC and almost every American talk show, from Ellen DeGeneres to local radio stations.
Best local commercial of all time.
Yeah.
Watch the magic.
And soon, everyone on the internet ran away with it.
Shift it in forward, shift it in reverse. Domestico foreign, I please you with my service. Shift it in forward, shift it in reverse. Domestico foreign, I please you with my service.
There are over 1 million Iranians living in the United States, Persians as they're called. And one of those Persians lives right here in this house behind me. Her name is Azadeh and she is my sister-in-law.
ماما سلام خوبی؟ سلام خوبی؟ آره قربونه چطوری؟
Azadeh moved to the United States 10 years ago when she met the love of her life and she never wants to leave. Also here right now is her sister Negin, visiting from Iran. She's been here now for 6 months and she's doubting staying in the US or going back to Iran. And the third person who you'll see in this house is Romina, Azadeh's oldest daughter, who's been living here since she was 9 years old. She's an all-American girl, but she has one deep wish, and that is to return to Tehran, the city where everything happens.
بعد رومینا هم میگفتش که من ایرانو بیشتر دوست دارم. من میخوام برگردم برم ایران. بحث ما داغ بود که رومینا میخواد بیاد ایران. من میگفتم حق نداری بری. یعنی مثلا میگفتم برات خوب نیست. آینده ای خیلی نخواهی داشت تو ایران. اینجا برات بهتره. اونم هی خلاصه دلیلای خودشو می آورد ایران خیلی بهتره و
Okay, I'm gonna go to nursing school. I'll be done in 6 years. I'll still miss Iran. I'll still be working here in the hospital and I'll still be missing my country. And
yeah,
I'd
but
still
when you make me, I mean, how can you say? Because then you are here, this is America, you have a job, you have a good life.
But I still miss,
have freedom?
I'd still have, okay, I'm sorry, but my freedom there is much more, like, open than here. Yes.
What do you mean? I mean...
Here, I'm so busy on social media and something that's, like, just on my phone. Over there, I'm busy with my friends, going out, doing stuff, like, experiences and...
Experiences? What do you mean? Go to party is experience?
That's a very big experience. Trying to, like, not get caught by the police, that's also another experience that, you know, is...
Exciting.
It's more, it feels like more like you're living there, you know? Rather than here, it's more like the routine of wake up, work, school, maybe, like, friends after, and then...
Romina went on holiday to Iran last year. She had the time of her life. Everything was so exciting. Drinking on the sly, avoiding the police for not following the dress code. It was a breath of fresh air compared to her life of luxury in San Francisco. Romina's reasons for wanting to go back to Iran are the same reasons why her mother decided to leave the country.
I miss my family, I miss my friends, and I love Iran, but I don't want to live in Iran anymore.
Anymore. But you did when you were a teenager.
For 29 years I did, but...
Yeah.
Do you ever see yourself moving back to Iran?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. What do you have in Iran that you don't have it here?
Feeling like I'm home. No,
So here is not your home?
No, I mean, yes, it is my home because I live here, I go to school here, but it's that moment when you walk off the plane and you're like, welcome to, like, you know, it's like the scarf comes out, it's there's nothing bad about it. I don't, how is it, okay, look at me, I'm more liberal, like, I don't cover myself, it's like, you know, I've totally, like, adapted to the way girls dress here, live here, you know, but isn't it funny that I'd be okay with covering myself for the whole summer in that weather than be here in shorts and bikinis all the time? Like, what?
I just don't get it.
I could easily find 1,000 Iranians who would gladly change places with Romina and her American lifestyle. Just to go out cruising with your friend in an old Prius, blasting music in the parking lot, as long as you like.
I moved here when I was 9, so I completely had to adapt into the typical, like, Cali girl, you know?
And that's why now you have a tattoo in your neck that says?
God is with me in Farsi.
Yeah.
Yeah. How is that Cali girl? I still like to stay, like, close to my roots. That's why I have the tattoo
But
of Iran.
in Iran, no one has a.
Because they don't appreciate it until they have to move away or have to move out of the country.
But what made you do that? That suddenly you think I want to put God is with me in my neck.
It just means something to me. It means something close to my heart. Like all my other tattoos have meaning to me.
What are the other tattoos?
It's a map of Iran.
A map of Iran.
Yeah, the outline of it.
Gak toe, Sarit. Get back in the car.
عشق و ایمان ای مهد پاکان ای خاک ایران همیشه هستی تو قلب یزدان ای خاک خوبم اینا میدونم از تو میخونم با تو میمونم.
شما اونجا بیرون گفتی من تو ایران بزرگ شدم اول ایرانی هم. شما اینجوری هم فکر میکنی اول ایرانی هستی یا اول آمریکایی هستی؟
من اونجا گفتم من در این هنوز من غریبم، هنوز من نمیتونم با یه آمریکایی خیلی راحت دوست بشم که مشتری میاد وقتی میبینه ایرانیم اولا یه ذره عقب میره فکر میکنه مثلا منو باور نداره و خب منم ناراحت میشم، ولی وقتی باشون دوست میشی خیلی تو آدم بیشتر ریسپاند میگیرن. نمیدونم چرا تو ذهنشون رفته که مثلا ایرانی ترسناکه، ایرانی پسرم که اینجا به دنیا اومده به طرف آمریکایی باشه، ولی من هنوز ایرانی هستم. من زمانی که فارسی را یادم بره اون موقع دیگه ایرانی نیستم که فکر نمی کنم.
Gorgon will always remember the day he left Iran 30 years ago. For Hassan, that journey is just starting. The first stop on his way to Stanford University is Tehran.
تهران دیگه.
والا قرآن ما وقتی که میخوام بریم مسافرت راه دور یا یه جای سنگینی میخوام بریم، حالا البته رفع تصادفات، رفع مثلا این چیزا، این قرآن رو میگیرن قرآن به سر بکنن که ایشالله به سلامتی مسافرت رو برن و به سلامتی برگردن.
درسته. و این آب چیه؟ آب پشت پا؟
این آب پشت پا هم هدفش اینه که سلامتی وقتی رفتن راه برگشت داشته باشه.
زود برمیگرده.
راه برگشت داشته باشه، به خاطر اینکه دوباره باید زودتر بیایی به این صورت. انشالله که مقام بالاتر و بالاتر و موفقیت شما رو آرزومندیم. زنده باشی قربان تو.
موفق باش.
مرسی.
Since he became one of the most brilliant students in Iran, Hassan started dreaming of a future in the US. But most of the Iranians living in the US can't stop dreaming about Iran. Why do you think Iranians, even when they live abroad, when they are at this, like a beautiful campus like here, why do you think they are still so busy with Iran? I mean, I'm sure if someone from Colombia passes by, they're not only busy with Colombia, or someone from Belgium, but Iranians, they're so busy with Iran, even when they live tens of thousands of miles away.
There's so tensions about my country. I think we are passing from very important. This passage from tradition to modernity is not easy. It takes maybe couple of generations so that we feel comfortable with what we are, who we are. I am here, I wear my scarf, I care about what I wear because I have hope to go back, and I know about the complexities over there. This country, Iran, keeps me constantly be aware of the decisions I make, because it's like a very sick child that you have, that you cannot ignore it. You know that's not going to get better, but you cannot just get disappointed. You want to do whatever you can to help it. And I'm not disappointed. I'm still hopeful, and I do my best.
Solmaya is still hopeful that the sick child Iran will one day recover. But the current American president doesn't share that optimism.
This afternoon, in a little while, I'll be giving a speech on Iran.
If there was any doubt about how serious Trump was, it disappeared when he appointed his new national security advisor. John Bolton had over the years made no secret of his plans for Iran.
The United States of America should be the overthrow of the mullah's regime in Tehran.
And said so plainly at a meeting of Iranian dissidents in Paris in 2017.
The behavior and the objectives of the regime are not going to change, and therefore the only solution is to change the regime itself. And that's why before 2019, we here will celebrate in Tehran. Thank you very much.
I am announcing today that the United States will withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal. We will be instituting the highest level of economic sanction. Thank you very much. This will make America much safer. Thank you very much.
When I came to live here 17 years ago, it was as if I'd landed on a different planet. As soon as I stepped off the plane in Tehran, the door to the outside world was shut. This isolation ended recently after the internet and social media opened up the country. Iran is now rapidly becoming more modern. Some leaders do their utmost to try and stop these changes. And I saw the ugly side of that battle this week. Kavus, the father of a friend of mine, was arrested out of the blue. He was charged with spying. And just 3 weeks later, I typed this headline for the New York Times.
Developing news this hour, a prominent academic believed to be a dual Iranian-Canadian citizen has died in prison after being arrested last month. Today, his son, Ram Amani, posted on Twitter that his father was arrested on the 24th of January and that the news of his death was released to my mom on Friday. I still can't believe this.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I thought it was far-fetched that he would be a spy. But now Kavus was found dead in his cell. I asked his son to come over. The intelligence services have forbidden him to talk about the case.
They said that he had hung himself in his cell. And they showed my uncle some marks on his neck, on the back of his neck. And he had some bruises over his body too. They said, oh, this is probably when, he was hanging, he probably hit somewhere.
But wasn't your father in like a high security prison?
That's the thing. If he was such an important person in a high security cell, how did it go, unmonitored for such a long time? For them to allow such a thing to happen.
When they called your mother hadn't seen your father in 2 weeks. What did they say to her?
They finally said, oh, so you want to see your husband? We'll take you to him. He's dead. And my mom started laughing because she didn't believe it. She thought that they were just playing mind games with her. And they're like, how dare you laugh in here? Do you know where you are? We'll do the same thing to you. And she was just hysterical because she couldn't believe it. And so they finally took my mom and my uncle and they drove them to the coroner's office where my dad's body was apparently on like these steel medical tables and my mom just kept kissing my dad and she couldn't believe it. She obviously she was just in complete hysteria and it was impossible for her to fathom because this scenario of this event happening the way it did was the last thing we ever thought would happen to our family.
After studying in the US, Kavus didn't stay in the West. He had been granted a Canadian passport, but still took his family back to Iran because he wanted to help build up the country. And he went on to do that for 30 years, until he was arrested and accused of spying.
Why would they target your father, who was a professor for 27 years at one of Iran's most prominent universities? Why would they target him?
I mean, it's a question that I don't think I'll ever know the answer to. That and my dad's real cause of death are these two questions I don't think I'll ever get to know what the full spectrum of the truth is. Because, while I'm 100% convinced and sure, and I think everybody else is, of my father's innocence in this story, there's a whole spectrum of 1,000 things that could have happened that I can't speculate on. I can't, and it'll just drive my mind to go crazy. Unless I have real hard facts of actually why he was, and this is what our lawyers are trying to do too, through legal channels, to find out why was this man arrested, why was he interrogated, why wasn't he allowed to communicate with his family, and how and why was his death, so irresponsibly, not prevented.
So the funeral was today, and it was dramatic. First of all, it was pouring with rain. We were on top of this really cold mountain outside of Tehran. There were around 100 people. Now, Kavus Amani was a really popular guy in the city, but many people had been afraid to come to the funeral. And actually, at the funeral, there were people who clearly hadn't come to pay their last respects, but to keep an eye on us. Men, on cell phones, talking, taking pictures of people. And at the point when they brought in the body, Mariam, Kavus's wife, just let out this primal scream. And she started like yelling, like she said, why didn't I talk to the press earlier? Why didn't I throw a racket? Why did I keep silent and let this happen? And at that point, everybody just started crying. I mean, it was intense. It was quite something.
From the moment the news came out about Ramin's father dying in prison, something in his environment changed. Everybody was suddenly frightened.
Even after these events, so many people don't even answer our phone calls or come to visit us, or even my own dad's university hasn't even called us to send, their regards or condolences.
And he worked there for how many years?
I think 27 years.
And they didn't even call?
They haven't even called.
Why do you think people are so afraid?
In this country especially, if you live with fear, you're done. You're done. They can smell that on you like a dog. And they'll take control of every single aspect of your life. And I just refuse, not just myself, my brother, my mother. My mother's been so brave during this whole ordeal. We just refuse to give in to that fear. It's a crazy story, man, though. It's just like, it's something.
The modern world invading the country is a serious threat to elements of the leadership. Sometimes normal people fall victim to those fears. In this case, it was Ramin's father. And although I've seen this happen before, I found it very difficult to get his story out of my mind that evening. The next morning, I pulled open the curtains, and what did I see? Nothing. Well, almost nothing. I've suddenly had my fill of Tehran's polluted air. Fortunately, there's a quick way to escape from it. To lift my spirits, I catch a train to the Caspian Sea. This train ride is one of the most beautiful train rides in the world. It's winter now, so the trees are bare, but in spring and summer, it will be intensely green.
Look at the truck that crashed over there. It just came down the mountain.
I'm on my way to an old friend, Isa Saharghis, a seasoned journalist who loves his country but refuses to keep his mouth shut when he sees political wrongdoing. As a result of his critical articles, it seems he's almost spent more time in prison than out.
بداین تنبلا بمونن زرنگا بیان بداین بیان های توماس
خوبی؟
صبح بخیر
حسنا باشین
چطوری؟ خوبی؟ رو برا؟
خوبی؟
خوش گذشت؟
با شما واقعا
شانستون هوا خوبه
واقعا خیلی واقعا
قاس شرون آره قازامون برن حالا
پس این خیلی با خبرنگاری خیلی فرق میکنه
آره خبرنگاری خیلی فرق میکنه
با سیاسی هم خیلی فرق میکنه
آره یه زندگی طبیعیه طبیعی
راحتی الان
آره واسه مریضی اینا خیلی راحتم بعضی روزا
I last interviewed Isa 4 years ago. He was just released from prison, but he always had a blue bag packed and ready in his hallway, just in case they came for him again.
این ساک معروف من هست
مال
فعلا من هست این میتونه جالب تر باشه من این ساکم همیشه پره آماده است
همیشه با چی توشه
این لباس هست، لباس وسایل چیز. یک موقعی زمان مرتضوی همه این کتابا و اینها
مثلا
آره بود و لباس راحتی و حتی مایو و گفت مایو میخوای چیکار کنی؟ گفتم شمس الواعظین سازی اونها توی اوین میرن تو یه حوضی اونجا بود میرن شنا میکنن. گفت نه من تو رو نمیذارم بری پیش اونها بعدش هم بری شنا بکنی. میرم باباتو در میارم.
اگر الان دوباره چیزی اتفاق میفته یا مشکل پیدا میکنی مثلا نمیترسی دوباره برمیگردی زندان؟
من آمادگی دارم و الان یک مشکلی که با خانوادم و با حتی دوستانم دارم این هست که اونها میگن دیگه ننویس، دیگه حرف نزن. خب میان میگیرن دوباره میری زندان. من فکر میکنم که ما از زمان انقلاب یک مأموریت، یک کار ناتمام داریم. یک کاری رو کردیم انقلاب بشه، وضعیت عوض بشه. خب نشده. اون مأموریتمون رو باید چیکار بکنیم؟ تمام بکنیم. و خب اون مأموریت این هست که مردم قدرت دستشون باشه. در کشور آزادی باشه، دموکراسی باشه. ما شاهد نقض حقوق بشر نباشیم. از خودش یه جوری رعایت میکنه.
That was 4 years ago. Not long after that conversation, Isa was incarcerated again. This time, the price was high. He was also banned from writing for 2 years. His health is poor, his wife left him, and he moved here, a village near the Caspian Sea.
و اتفاقا سوال من از شما این است دیگه همین کار سیاسی که کردی دیگه معنی داشت؟
نه، سیاسی به معنای اینکه اثر گذاشت. شما الان میبینید به جای احمدی نژاد آقای روحانی سر کار هست.
من اتفاقا الان تو این 3 سال چیزی دیدم و خیلی زیاد میبینم وقتی که بعد از آقای روحانی اومده دیگه هیچکی دیگه علاقمند به سیاسی دیگه نداره تو این جامعه. شما اینا میبینید؟
الان نسل جدید خب ترجیح میده که راحت تر این کار را انجام بده بدون اینکه بخواد خودشو هزینه بده. زندگیشو میره، دانشگاهشو میره، دوست دخترشو داره، دوست پسرشو داره، تفریحشو میکنن. کسی الان دیگه تو این مسائل تو خیابون حالا چرا با دوست دخترت داری مسافرت میری؟ چرا اینجا هستی؟ شما دوتا با هم دیگه بهت کاری نداره.
این عواش
پارتیش برقراره، لباسش برقراره. اگرم گیر میدن خیلی
به نظر شما مردم میتونن یه ذره
زندگی کنن. میگن خب اون فایده نداره.
ولی غازه چیکار میکنی اگر دوباره باید بری؟
این غازه رو حالا خدا بزرگه. حالا این غازه اینا اومدن. شنیدن صداشو میکنی؟
چجوری میاد؟ مثلا یه صدایی داره؟
آره غازها صداشو میکنی با صدای خودش.
شما باید یه چیزی بگید تا میاد؟ چی مثلا؟
میای مثلا میگه غازها صداشو میکنی. غازها بیایید غازها.
Still, it must be strange for Isa. Being an activist and continuing until you wind up in prison seems to have fallen out of fashion.
ولی خب اینجا میان اینجا یه تخ کردنشونه.
شما این شاملو کیلم آوردی؟
آره میخوای؟
کجاست؟ همونه
فرق نکرده. این با من زندان بوده، با من دادگاه بوده، با من تو اتاق آقای مرتضوی بوده. الانم لباسام اینا همشون تو امکان هست برم اینم با من طبق معمول بیاد با خودم.
Isa is finding it very difficult to keep his publication ban. He's itching to get back to work, but when he tries to write, his children react furiously.
الان من یه ذره یه چیزی بنویسم مهتاب من داد میزنه سر من. تو که باز شروع کردی نمیخوای کنار بذاری. دخترم میگه ول کن اینا رو، تمومش کن، بیا برو زندگیت بچسب، بس دیگه، چقدر میخوای اینطوری باشه. جامعه عوض شده. فکر میکنن که ارزش این کاری رو که میکنند، هزینه رو که میدن، منفعتش اونقدر نیست. میگه میخوای کاری بکنی وایس سر انتخابات، برو یه دفعه تمام نماینده های شهر تهران از اول تا آخرش عوض کن.
It's a good question. Is the new generation still prepared to pay the price for a truly free country without repression and tyranny? Or have they been lulled to sleep behind their cappuccinos? And do they mostly celebrate the freedom they have on Instagram? Is this contentment only reserved for people who can afford cappuccinos? The answers to all these questions came unexpectedly just when I returned from a vacation outside of Iran. Yes, we get snow here in Iran too. But whenever it falls, it's always a surprise. The city descends into chaos, schools are closed, people make snowmen just like they do in the West. Well, that element of surprise that comes with snow is also very present in Iran's political situation, because you always know that at some point there will be unrest, you just don't know when. Well, for me, that surprise came when I was on the other side of the world, in Japan, on a skiing trip, and I started receiving all these videos on my phone, videos of big nationwide protests in Iran. And these videos, they were quite impressive. In over 80 cities, Iranians had taken to the streets, voicing their frustrations. They were even angry with Supreme Leader Khamenei, who was called a dictator by some of the protesters. Also, President Rouhani took some heat. Soon after that, Instagram was blocked by the government. I meet with my friend and LA Times correspondent Ramin for our weekly chat. He couldn't be more sure. The majority of the protesters are people who find it hard to make ends meet. Promise of the nuclear deal was that things would get better for them, but they haven't.
These people are challenging with day-to-day life, daily routine. They don't have decent job. They don't have decent, payment. They are underpaid. They are educated, sometimes uneducated, but they cannot achieve what they want.
But they're saying change this. Why can't the government change this?
Because the government has been failing all the time. This government cannot address these basic needs of the people. They cannot provide. Government cannot provide enough jobs. The private sector is unable to do anything for them. There is no foreign investment. There is no domestic investment. So there is no job.
The security forces employed strong-arm tactics. 25 people were killed. Around 4,000 protesters were arrested. But it was surprising that Tehran was relatively quiet. The regulars at the cappuccino cafes didn't join the other protesters. Because the middle classes didn't join, the protests soon fizzled out. Why the middle class isn't joining them? They are dissatisfied about everything, constantly complaining and saying this is wrong, that is wrong, and they have points.
It's a matter of price. The middle class wants to achieve the goals just by snapping the finger. What is that? Just we participate in the election, we vote on Fridays, and then everything will be promising as has been promised to us in the campaigns of the elections.
But they don't want to take to the streets for this.
No.
But they did in 2009.
It is in 2009.
When they went by the millions and they protested the re-election of Ahmadinejad.
Yes, because that time, the victory seemed very achievable, very near. The middle class is ready to take a risk when victory seems guaranteed. It doesn't seem now.
Do you think this protest will not lead to anything?
Will accumulate frustrations and will re-emerge like many previous ones in different forms under different pretexts.
When Rouhani was re-elected last year, people were cheering in the street. But now change is coming much too slowly for a generation spoiled by the internet. At the same time, they fear the new sanctions will only strengthen the hardliners and make change even more difficult.
There's just like the general sort of resentment and disappointment that now seep through all of society on all different levels. People are like, oh, what happened, after the deal? Nothing got better. And I think, obviously, the hardliners want that because the more chaos in the situation, the more they can consolidate their power. Like President Rouhani, for example, had such a huge swath of the population behind him. The biggest statement Rouhani could make that he's powerless in this government is to just resign. And it's pretty evident to a lot of people that the government is powerless. But it would make such a bigger statement if they themselves came out, and just say it, and to say, you know what, we can't help you because
maybe
our hands are tied.
So maybe President Rouhani couldn't bring the changes his voters wanted, even though he'd given them an Instagram revolution and access to a wildly faster internet.
But the internet has a downside, and that downside is that it gives information that Iran's leaders don't want. So when there are protests in this country, the internet gets cut. No more internet. That doesn't mean, however, that Iranians are isolated, because the outside world has penetrated this country a long time ago. For instance, in the shape of satellite television. There are over 150 channels that transmit in Persian straight into this country. And Ali Jan, اینجا ماوره هنوز ممنوع است ولی همه داره.
اینجا ممنوعه ولی خب قاچاقی همه دارن دیگه.
مثلا همه داره دیگه.
تقریبا میشه گفت 70% مردم اینجا دارن توی.
مثلا دو تا محبوب کانال چیه مثلا؟
میگم جماس به اضافه من و تو که خب این دو تا کانال، یعنی این دو سری کانال تو ایران خیلی محبوبه.
و این جم چی نشون میده؟
جم بیشتر سریال پخش میکنه.
و این من و تو چی نشون میده؟
من و تو اخبار داره، فیلم داره، سریال داره، بعد مسابقه داره، موزیک داره.
این نشون بده این من و تو؟
بله.
This is one of the two channels that Ali says is very popular here in Iran. It's called Monotone. It operates from London. Now, as you can see, this is a show about cooking. A guy with tattoos is presenting it. It's much more now than Iranian state TV that has like the solution of mathematical problems in 2 hours, or a roundtable discussion between clerics. If you are a young Iranian, naturally you're more attracted to this kind of TV. But just like Iranian state television, Monoto and the other channels have their own political agendas. Monoto, for instance, shows political documentaries about the time of the Shah. In beautiful Technicolor colors, they show how the Shah was receiving President Carter back home, or they show how great life was, according to them, before the revolution. Now, if you are a young person who has never experienced that time, then naturally you look outside, you see the smoke, you see the restrictions, and you think, that time was much better than the era that I'm living in. So, propaganda is on all sides, on state television, yeah, but also on the Persian channels operating from abroad.
As a journalist, I try to watch Iranian state television, at least to understand the frame of mind of the people behind it. Like last night, when they tried to prove that Kavus and his environmentalist colleagues were all spying for the West. They use footage from the family's confiscated home videos. Cameras placed to film wildlife are called high-tech spying equipment, aimed at monitoring Iranian missile movements. Camping trips with the family allegedly took place near secret nuclear installations.
و برای رصد دقیق‌تر چتر فعالیت‌های محیط زیستی خود را نزدیک آن مکان‌ها پهن می‌کردند.
قطعاً یک خودکشی هست. انگیزه خودکشی چی بوده؟ هنوز باید پیرامونش دقت بیشتری بشه، تحلیل بیشتری بشه، ولی ظاهر نشون میده که بر اساس اطلاعاتی که فکر کردن لو رفته.
It turns out that security officials have taken the deed to the family home. Now they have lost everything. It's the last straw. The two sons and mother decide to leave the country. This is how it ends. Exactly 1 month after their father died in his cell, both sons and their mom leave Iran. They head to Canada. I wait for them in Frankfurt, where they change flights. I wonder if the family has succeeded in getting out of Iran. What happened?
They didn't let our mom out. She couldn't leave the country. We were just standing at the last security control, and then someone walked out and started calling her name.
Moments before the flight.
Like a guy in an official suit or just...
like a plainclothes suit
plainclothes guy?
Yeah, and he basically was calling out my mom's name, and we immediately knew that something was wrong as soon as we heard her last name. And
what did she say?
And was really close to the flight. We both wished that they had just told us sooner. Like we might have called someone. It was like literally like 10 minutes before the flight.
So the last moment before boarding.
Yeah.
And what did your mom say? I mean, the dogs were already on the plane. You guys were allowed to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said the two sons can go, but Mariam has to stay back.
And they said you just have like literally 2 minutes to make a decision. I mean, do you want to stay or do you want to go? You have to decide now.
And our mom forced us to like just get on that plane. I want you out of this country. I mean, that's like, she's so selfless and so full of love. Like, she just wanted us to be out of here and just safe and in one piece. And we luckily had some friends at the airport with us, you know, who were with our mom. So we didn't just leave her on our own. There was like 10, 12 people with her. But they took her Iranian passport away and said that she can't leave the country now.
So you think you guys, I mean, your mom is there. You think maybe you'll go back if they don't allow her
I just talked to my mom, and she told me, don't ever come back. She said, no matter what happens, even if I were to die, like, she's like, just don't come back. I'm going to make sure that she comes out safe and sound.
I mean, how much can one family go through in just a couple of weeks, you know? I mean, they arrest with no evidence. My dad died in prison with no explanation. The case, according to them, is closed, and the legal channels are very limited.
And they continue to smear our family,
to bother our family, to pressure our family, to threaten our family. I mean, we're tired of it.
And what?
For what? I mean, aren't we living in where are we living? I mean, this is not the Iran we imagined. This is not the Iran we envisioned. This is not the Iran my father wanted to be a part of.
Okay. So you guys are 9. Anyway, it's B. So no, we're gonna take it.
Hopefully we'll see you in one piece.
A few weeks later, an extraordinary reversal. President Rouhani's Minister of Intelligence declares that there were no grounds for the accusation of espionage against their father. But it didn't change anything. Kavus is dead and his wife is still not allowed to leave the country. It's always the same in Iran. Life here is unpredictable. You get tossed back and forth between happiness and sadness. So, along with all the other Iranians, I too feel moments of doubt. But then, walking in winding alleys, I stumble across a man with a plastic bag. He suddenly turns around, looks at me and smiles. He thinks I'm a stranger here, who doesn't speak his language. And so he sings me a song.
قبر امام هشتم و سلطان دین رضا از جان ببوس و بر در آن بارگاه باش پیمانه هر که پر شود میمیرد پیمانه من تویی شود میمیرد Oh Yali, goodbye, my friend.
And just as soon as he appeared, he disappears again. So, even after 17 years, Iranians never fail to surprise me. I wanted to show you an Iran different from the impression most Americans have from following the TV news. There is so much more to it than this. So I've mainly stuck to those people I already knew. People who trusted me and who, one by one, were willing to share their stories and thoughts in front of the camera. All honest and open people, brave without exception, and always up for a good laugh. Thanks to those people, and of course Nusha and her family, I feel at home here, in spite of everything. Yeah. So there is one thing I know for sure. I'm not leaving anytime soon. I'm not done telling stories about Iran and the Iranian people. Not yet.
Go to pbs.org/frontline for more of Frontline's reporting on Iran and its neighbors. The 3-hour series, Bitter Rivals, about the dangerous rivalry between Iran and Saudi Arabia.
So they started this sectarian message, not us.
Nonsense. The Iranians are the ones who are exporting terrorism.
Then visit our films page where you can watch more than 200 Frontline documentaries. Connect to the Frontline community on Facebook, Twitter, and pbs.org/frontline.
Here comes the federal government saying that they own the land and everything on it is theirs. But my dad said, hell no.
How one family's fight against the government.
The armed standoff in Buffalo.
This became sort of this rallying cry for anti-government extremists everywhere.
Sparked a movement.
Anti-government patriot Bruce Bundy is in federal custody
and
now.
what it means.
The Bundys defied 3 court orders and the rule of law.
Next time on Frontline.
For more on this and other Frontline programs, visit our website at pbs.org/frontline. Frontline's Our Man in Tehran is available on DVD. To order, visit shop.pbs.org or call 1-800-PLAY-PBS. Frontline is also available for download on iTunes.